Hello, everybody. We're here at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas for Big 12 Media Day from Devil's Digest. My name is Justin Lestertoso. Alongside myself is publisher Hode Rubino. And Hode, it's been a busy day. We got in here about 8 a.m. Brett Yormark, Big 12 commissioner, came out here to make some remarks at about 10 a.m. A lot to unpack there. Talked about what lies ahead for the Big 12 with the new groups that are coming in, some of the new deals that the Big 12 has in the future, and really the landscape ahead. Anything that really caught your eye from what he said?
Well, I just really feel that Brett Yormark is a commissioner that is an absolute proactive commissioner, somebody who's not going to rest on his laurels. He's not really content with the fact that you have a power conference structure right now in college sports where the SEC and Big Ten are perceived to be higher than the Big 12 and the ACC. He definitely wants to get on that level. He's done a lot of business deals to date. We all know about the private equity firm deal that he has going on. We know about the logos that might be on the jerseys of Big 12 teams sooner rather than later. And I think also he's somebody who's very receptive to the world of NIL. And instead of trying to fight it, instead of trying to begrudgingly accept it, he is really trying to be as innovative as possible to give opportunities for student athletes in this conference that maybe other conferences do not have. I told somebody earlier, I know that the bar is pretty low, trying to compare Brett Yormark to the former Pac-12 commissioners, who was supposed to be all that innovative, had Silicon Valley in their backyard. And still, what I heard from Yormark today was absolutely night and day from what we heard from the Pac-12 leaders in the past. So Arizona State should be very, very happy that they're part of a conference like the Big 12, a conference that is always going to think out of the box, is going to be, as Yormark said, and I quote, open for business. And that's not only in regards to a possible expansion of the Big 12. Yes, 16 teams right now could grow to 18 or 20 by the end of this decade. Who knows? But more importantly, just always being receptive to any financial opportunity that is out there for Arizona State and for the rest of this conference.
And now let's talk a little bit about Arizona State itself. Kenny Dillingham was asked about some of the obstacles that he foresees ASU facing as they enter the Big 12. He said that he doesn't really know. That's the beauty of it. That's something that you find out on the fly, and that's how you adjust. But one thing that he does know, and one thing that he's sort of talked about ad nauseum at this point, is that he wants to build a culture, but more importantly, he wants to build toughness within this unit. So is there anything from Kenny that stuck out from you today?
Yeah, I think when it comes to the toughness aspect, I mean, some people say it's a no-brainer because you're entering a Big 12 conference that just from a schematic standpoint on offense, on defense, is going to present much different challenges than the Pac-12 was presenting as well. But to me, it's not only just keeping up with the Joneses, but really Kenny Dillingham being part of the Todd Graham years when the Sun Devil team did go 10-win seasons back-to-back, and the toughness and the grit and really showcasing the right amount of discipline and character is really what characterized those teams aside from the sheer talent. I mean, sure, the talent always has to be there, and I think this is a better team that Arizona State is going to field on almost each and every position compared to 2023. But for him, it's really just, as you mentioned, a cultural mindset, and not so much a mindset of, oh, now I'm going to the Big 12 where teams are going to be more physical. I'm going to see two tight ends as base offenses rather than one in every 10 snaps, and that's why I need to be physical, but really just creating that mindset, because when you have that toughness, when you have that perseverance, I think not only goes hand in hand with your talent, but also maybe helps you win some games that you don't have so much business of winning. You know, we saw close games against Cal, against Colorado, against Washington and Seattle, where that toughness was definitely lacking. I mean, sure, the talent was an issue. Having an unbelievable number of injuries, over 31 players that missed over 130 games collectively, sure, that's going to hurt you a lot. But now that you're going to have that different character, that different culture that Kenny Dillingham has tried to instill, and maybe they're not there quite yet, but I think they're in a much more advanced stage now than they were in July of 2023. So that is something that Kenny Dillingham definitely wants to instill in this team. He also said that he wasn't surprised that the Big 12 media at large picked ASU in the 16th and last place in the conference in the preseason poll. He said ASU is right now going through its worst three-year stretch in program history. So maybe those low expectations are justified. But he's going to use it as bulletin board material, no doubt. He said that nobody is really just motivated from within. In the world of social media, players, coaches, fans are well aware of what is said around them. But nonetheless, I think it's not so much just proving everybody wrong, but also proving ASU right, and that the strides that they made from last year to this year are really going to materialize in a much better product on the field.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. ASU was ranked dead last in the Big 12 preseason poll. Dillingham wasn't really surprised, said that the past 3 years have been the worst in program history. And ever since he was brought in, as you said, really trying to refine that culture, bring that toughness back to Arizona State. But he mentioned, as I said before, he doesn't really know what the obstacles will be. But for you, being around the team, what obstacles do you foresee ASU facing as they enter the Big 12?
Well, to just go back to my earlier point, when you talk about schematics, seeing teams that are really content of sitting on the ball and not only just running the ball ad nauseum, and let's not forget, 5 of the top rushers from last year are going to be in the Big 12 this year, and ASU is going to face each and every of those 5 running backs. But when it comes to the passing games, I mean, sure, you're not going to see explosive plays and quarterbacks throwing 40, 50 yards down the field on every other down. But when you can have a more ball-controlled offense, keeping the ball away from their opponent, that's something they'll be very, very content with. So, as I mentioned, seeing more 2 tight end sets, maybe even more 2 running back sets, I think it's something the Sun Devils are definitely going to see in a much higher volume than they ever seen in the Pac-12 in recent memory. When it comes to the defense, they're going to see a lot of 3-3-5 alignments. So teams that are definitely going to try to take away the passing game from you and really dare to run the ball. So I feel that maybe those are some of the challenges that ASU is going to face. But I think also it's really the challenge of the unknown. And I think it really cuts both ways, because it's not like a team like Kansas State or UCF or Cincinnati is greatly familiar with ASU. Oklahoma State, kinda. Ironically, ASU has played Oklahoma State in the last 2 years, so maybe that's going to be one game where there's not a whole lot that one opponent can conceal from the other. But I think just really getting used to what they're going to see in terms of personnel, in terms of an increased degree of toughness, of physicality. I think it's something that ASU is going to have to get used to. But again, to their credit, they feel that they increased their toughness and their physicality quite a bit from last year, and they feel that they are better equipped to deal with those elements compared to 2023.
And Kenny Dillingham obviously wasn't the only one representing ASU today. Cam Scadaboo, Leif Altanu, Xavier Alford, Clayton Smith were the 4 attendees as players today. Obviously, we were there for all of spring ball, saw that spring game as well, and saw really everything starting to come together during the spring. But for the personnel for ASU on the field, how do you think that's going to sort of stack up against the rest?
Well, I just think that ASU might really play by the same rules, if you will. And, okay, if there's going to be keep-away ball that opposing offenses are going to play, well, ASU's running back is deeper than I've ever seen it in my 25 years covering the team. So the keep-away ball that many of the Big 12 teams are going to play, I think you can throw ASU into that category as well. So I think that's maybe one way to adjust. I also feel that when you talk about being a higher emphasis on the running game, that really takes the pressure off an inexperienced quarterback such as Sam Levitt, who's a presumed starter. He's just a redshirt freshman, showed a lot of strides from day one into the last spring practice, but still needs to take that extra step in fall camp and really not be the lesser of 2 or 3 evils, being the starter quarterback, but truly being the best signal caller in that room. But nonetheless, if he is going to have a strong running game, if really can employ tight ends more in the passing game, I think that can really do wonders for a young quarterback that doesn't feel that he has to play hero ball each time he's out there. As far as the ASU defense, we definitely are going to see a stronger front four. We're going to see a stronger linebacker group, and that is imperative to what I mentioned earlier. Absolute monster ground attacks almost on a weekly basis from Big 12 opponents. So I think that while you would like to see maybe a stronger cornerback group from ASU, and look, maybe that's the unit that surprises us, but there's not a lot of proven experience coming back. I think that's a group that maybe would have one hell of a time, if not an absolute nightmare, just facing the old Pac-12 explosive passing attacks. Now in the Big 12 world, maybe there's going to be less of a degree of a challenge, and really if there's going to be a stout front four that can really aid the cornerbacks that much more, I think maybe you could see that group flourish. Maybe that group be the surprise of this Sun Devil 2024 campaign. So I think those are some of the challenges, some of the differences that ASU is going to see, and I think they do have the tools to not only combat those challenges, but really actually excel in that new environment that they're going to be faced this coming season.
And Hoda, obviously, it's a huge transition, not only just for ASU football and ASU athletics as a whole, but for us as media, covering all those Pac-12 teams. Some of them are here in this iteration of the Big 12, but that era is behind us, and now we're here with the Big 12, Arizona State's first season in the Big 12, and we'll have all the coverage year-round. This has been Justin Lestertosa and Hode Rubino at Big 12 Media Day in Las Vegas. For everything Arizona State sports related, go to DevilsDigest.com. Follow Devils Digest on Twitter. We'll see you guys in the season. Have a good night.